reading all these books and they all seem to have the same complaint, and I am trying really hard not to lose my mind about some hot take I have. I'm in the middle of reading a biography about Thomas Catesby Jones, who served in the U.S. Navy during the War of 1812 and the Mexican War. Between the War of 1812 and the Mexican War, he was serving under Commodore Isaac Hall in the Pacific Squadron, which was the 1820s. Around this time, this was the Monroe Doctrine. Simplifying what the Monroe Doctrine was during the James Monroe administration, the Monroe Doctrine said that European powers stay in their hemisphere and don't interfere with the Americans' hemisphere because Chile won its independence from Spain, and so they were becoming a new republic. Commodore Isaac Hall was on his way to relieve Commodore Charles Stewart, who was being sent back to the States for a court-martial. The purpose of the American squadron was during Chile's War of Independence against Spain, Americans were supposed to stay neutral, but they were patrolling the coastal waters to keep American interests in trade. This is where my hot take comes into place, and eventually I'll have a whole video about why I have this opinion. This is a second edition and also censored version of Captain David Porter's journal during the War of 1812, and he goes into detail about how he sailed into the Pacific and tried establishing a naval base out on the Marquesas Islands, but that didn't take. And so now that Marquesas Islands is part of French Polynesia. All these books have a lot of things in common, but one of them is, boy, it would be nice to have a U.S. naval station out in the Pacific Ocean. Man tried. Here's a few reasons why it would have been a good idea to have a Navy station out in the Pacific Ocean, according to the Charles Stewart biography. Transit between ports in the Pacific took weeks, if not months. The Pacific trade routes were new to many U.S. sailors. A naval squadron was certain to face difficult logistical and operational problems in an age when word of mouth and letter transmittal were its only means of communication with Washington. Number 2, keep tabs on the volatility of South American governments. Third major reason was establishing the Pacific Station was to capitalize on the growing economic importance of the Pacific trade routes. Back to the original point of this video. During Isaac Hall's time as Commodore of the Pacific Squadron, Thomas Catesby Jones, he was sailing out to the Sandwich Islands, which is the Hawaiian Islands, to settle some mutiny that was going on over there. And during this time, the old school of the Navy was clashing with the new school, the new way of doing things, and so officers were undisciplined. There was so much rowdiness going on that the officers of the old school just didn't know how to handle these younger officers, and so just having to travel all the way back to Washington to deal with all the different court-martial when there could have been a station settled in the Pacific Ocean somewhere to handle all the miscommunications, the discipline, all the problems that they were having. This whole period was just kind of like a mess in the U.S. Navy.